Hey, it's Friday. Let's form check. Hey guys, welcome back to another Form Check Friday. I'm Paul. I tweaked my back squatting. It's brutal. I thought it was okay. Finished my set of squats. I felt it about rep 3. Did some deadlifts, woke up the next day and was kind of, I could tell. But today, 2 days later, it is brutal. I'm hobbling around like an old man. So that's super fun. Quick announcement before we get into your form checks. You guys mentioned wanting to do a fall fat loss, spring, summer fat loss challenge like we did in the fall. So let's do it. I think we're going to start probably the first Monday in May. I think that's the 6th. But I will post about it on the subreddit, the HORNSTRENGTH subreddit. So you can get to that in the description for this video. If you want to lose a couple pounds, it's a good way to just get some group accountability. It's a super low investment challenge. You just start by telling us what you weigh and what you want to weigh or how much weight you want to lose in whatever the time period is, usually a couple weeks, like 12 weeks. And it's just a Monday check-in. You talk about how much weight you lost, where you started, where you want to go, and what you did that week. And then you can talk about whatever else, recipes, things that are working, things that aren't. And again, it's just mainly the accountability is the thing. You have to check in every Monday. And we had a lot of guys last time lose a decent amount of weight. So it clearly works and it'll be fun. So stay tuned for that. I'll put an announcement out very soon in our subreddit and probably on social media channels and stuff. Okay, let's get into your form checks. As you guys know, I haven't seen any of these. I think we got 3 this week, so it'll be kind of a short episode, which is nice. Happy life. I'm still working on my deadlift form after your advice last week. In the meantime, here are 5 reps at 265 on my heavy squats. They felt brutal. All right, 265, brutal, jack, happy to help. Let's take a look and see what is going on with jack. All right, man. So, bar looks good. Arms look good. Stance is pretty good. Let's see how this goes, man. Oh, very nice. This is going to be short. I mean, clearly deep. You got some knee cave there. But you're staying leaned over. This is a very good squat, man. You're going a little deeper than you need to. And it's probably because your stance is a little narrow. But let's just watch. I mean, even look at that. Beautiful. Dude, beautiful set. I mean, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice, but like overall, you're killing it. So you're going deeper than you need to. Easy fix. All you got to do is widen your stance. As you bring your feet out, it will bring the limit of the groin muscles' ability to stretch up. So they'll tighten up higher up into the bottom position, or you'll feel the limit a little bit higher up. So that'll just, if you just widen your stance about probably 2 inches, maybe, let's take a look at that. So yeah, if you just bring your feet out maybe a total of 2 to 4 inches, you can kind of look in the mirror, turn sideways and see. We're just looking, for something that looks, I mean, I think you get a little deeper as the reps go on, but let's see, we'll watch another one. Yeah. I mean, you're very, very close. It's very convincing depth. So I wouldn't bring it up too much, maybe just a little bit wider, and then you'll feel that stretch a little bit higher up into the rep. Easy fix for that. The knee cave is the one that's hard to fix. So if you watch particularly, you can see your knees are kind of buckling in this way. They were out here and they kind of caved in. This one in particular, you can kind of tell is moving in. So let's see when that, and you can see them. Let's see when you start to lose it. So you're doing a pretty good job at the bottom, keeping them out. And it's just basically on the drive up, they start to cave in, which is super common, super hard to fix. And it's really a mental battle. You have to insist that the knees stay out, and you have to train your brain to keep them out. And it just takes practice. So you got to find a weight where that you can do perfectly. And you may be able to just pay attention to it, because a lot of times what guys think about on the way down in the squat is, I'm going to lean over and shove my knees out. And then they switch their focus to thinking about up. I got to drive my hips up, and they just forget about the knees, right? It's like in the deadlift, you have a guy, okay, I got to set my back. So they do this beautiful back extension, and then they switch to, okay, now I have to pick the weight up off the ground. They take all the focus off holding that extension, and their back just rounds, right? So the fix is learning what it feels like to keep them out and keeping your focus on that until you don't have to anymore, right? So eventually it will just be programmed into you that this is what the squat feels like, and you won't have to think about it. But for a little while, you're going to have to insist that those knees stay out, because as they cave, that's the limiting factor now. All right. You've continued to put weight on the bar. This knee cave probably started off not that bad. Over time, more weight and the knee cave got worse. And now the muscles, the external rotators that keep those knees out, have not gotten as strong as they should have. So you're probably going to have to back down. What you can try first is just, I'm going to keep my focus. I'm going to drive my hips up, but I'm also going to be thinking knees out, right? And it looks like your head is kind of where I want it, which is, especially for someone with knee cave, I want you to look about dead center between your feet, maybe 6 inches out, 6 inches in front of your toes. And you'll be able to watch your knees out of your peripheral vision. As you start driving up, you watch them, you see them come in like this, you with your brain make them go back out. Okay, so that's one way you can build that connection in your mind, the connection between those external rotators and your knees and your brain. So you can try and just go back in with whatever, maybe 265, maybe you have a light day, or especially on your warm-ups, and just insist that you're going to focus on hips up and knees out. It's knees out on the way down, it's knees out on the way up. Okay. So you can see how that goes. They might cave in, and if that's the case, then you're going to have to back off the weight, and you're going to have to work back up. You're going to have to find a weight. You just do like ascending sets until you find the weight where you can't hold them out anymore, and then you back down from that a little bit to the weight that you can hold them out, and you work back up from there, insisting that they stay out. This is why it's hard, especially if you're training alone, because if I was standing right behind you, my job as a coach is to, when I know that your knees are about to cave in, to scream at you to shove them back out. And that yelling will remind you, and then you push them back out. And we just do that for a couple weeks, and I don't have to yell anymore. You're by yourself, so you're going to have to anticipate, as soon as I come up out of the bottom and start driving my hips, I let the knees cave in. So you're just going to have to shout in your own head, knees back out, and hold them out. Okay. It is a tough one to fix. It can be fixed, but it requires backing off the weight and then insisting for a little bit as you work back up that you do not let the knees cave in, so that you don't end up in this same situation again. Okay. So try widening the stance, and then just try to focus all of your mental energy, especially on your warm-ups, especially on your light day. If you have a light day, or your lighter sets, or your back off sets, that's really the time to drill it, when the weight's a little lighter and you're not nervous. Because when you're just focused on grinding out 5 really hard reps that scare you, it's kind of hard to work on these cues. So drill it, and then do as many, good ones as you can with your heavy weight. If you can't fix it, then you're going to have to back down and keep the eyes on the ground, and just keep that focus on knees out. If you put the camera behind you, you'll be able to see usually one knee caves in more than the other. And if you figure out which one it is, you can focus on that one. So instead of just thinking knees out, you're thinking like right knee out. And that specificity of just focusing on that knee, the weaker one, kind of takes care of both. And, you know, you can solve this problem, but it's going to take work. You're going to have to be diligent, and you're going to have to be patient and not, you know, let your ego get in the way and try and pile a bunch of weight on. And then you post another form check video and I tell you to go back to where we are right now. So work on it. Post another video when you think you got it, and we'll keep going. But in the meantime, thank you for the submission. I hope this helps. It's not the most, I wish I could tell you just do this and it'll be magically fixed, but that's not the case with this one. This is a tough one. So good luck, you know, stick with it. And I promise you it can be fixed, and then eventually you won't have to think about it anymore. So, all right. Thank you for the submission. Let's keep going. See who's next. We got insert username. Great name. Okay. Deadlift. Form check, 80 kilos. Hey, Paul, I've been lifting for a few months, studying form a lot, but I'm still concerned about my deadlift. Would you say my hips are shooting up, or is it due to my anatomy? What other things could I improve? I get no pain, but concerned I may be causing long-term damage by doing it incorrectly. Let's take a look and see what we see here. Whoa. That's loud in my ears. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but let me turn this down. Oh, you blurred your face out. All right. Before we start, this is an okay angle for the deadlift, but I want you a little bit more to the side. That would be great next time, just so I can get a better view of setting your back. I can kind of see it, but if you do post again, we just want to move the camera a little bit more so I can see your profile. Okay. Let's take a look. Well, we'll just watch a couple. God, why is that volume coming back in? All right. Let me go back to the beginning here. All right, let's see. So your stance is a little too wide. And, well, let's just get through this. Not bad, man. Good. Rolling the bar back to your shins. Excellent. Okay. Your back, from what I can tell, looks pretty good. I mean, you can see you're setting it, you're contracting those muscles. The bar is starting to swing away from your legs a little bit. Oh, thank you. Never mind. All right, we'll watch this. Okay, so this is cool, but let's go back to the beginning just so we can talk about your stance. So you see how the angle of your shin is kind of inward. They basically are going like, I mean, that's a bad line, but the perspective here is, but they're kind of going in a little bit. And what I want instead of if this is your shin and this is your knee, right? Instead of this, I want this. I want the opposite of that. So I want you to bring your stance in a little bit closer together so that the shins go out like that into your elbows. Okay, that's a terrible line. But when you look down, what you should see between your heels, not your toes, your heels, is about 6 inches. Okay, maybe shoot for 6 inches. Okay, and then the toes pointed out about 15 degrees or so. You know, some people like a little more, but whatever, play around with it. The idea with the toes pointing out is that you can push your knees lightly into your elbows. So when you squeeze your chest up, right, and set your back, you're also kind of pushing out into your arms. And that brings in more adductor, right, your groin muscles, which is going to help you. You're pulling more muscle into the lift. It's going to help you get tighter, and it's going to help you lift more weight. So we want kind of the opposite. So the toe angle looks pretty good. It's hard to tell with camera angles and stuff, but again, you want maybe 15 to 25, 30 degrees, somewhere in there, and heels about 6 inches apart, okay? So the shins are going out like that instead of in like this, all right? So let's see here. But yeah, overall the movement is pretty good. It really when you the other thing about that position is that so now your shins are coming in like this, the knees are in, right? And so your thighs move in front of you. And if we do in front of your belly, basically. And if we do the other thing that I want where the shins are going out and the knees are pushing out into the elbows, the thighs will be, you'll make more space for your belly, okay? Which means you can get a little bit lower, your torso can just come down a little bit more closer to the bar, which gives you a little bit more slack in the hamstrings to set your back. So if you push your thighs out of the way, it makes it easier for you to get your back in extension. So you can kind of see that your thighs are also going inward. We want them to go out. So just like the squat, it's like shove your knees out. In the deadlift, it's like shove your knees out, but like just a little bit, okay? No lift do we want knees going in, okay? So, but yeah, like I said, the bar's drifting off your shins a little bit. So you want to make sure that, all you need to be thinking about is I'm going to make this bar touch me all the way up. I'm going to drag it up my shins. I'm going to drag it up my thighs. So drag means contact. That bar should never not touch you. Okay. When you drop your shins to the bar, take a breath, squeeze your chest up. From that moment on, that bar touches your body. You don't have to dig it into your shins, but it should be grazing the skin, the hair of your legs. And then the important part is after the knee. Like once you get to where you are right now, a lot of guys forget about the dragging it part. And so it'll be on their shins. And then once it gets to the thigh, it'll be like an inch off their thigh out in space. It slides up the leg. So if you just keep your focus on making that bar touch you all the way up, it'll be right. We don't have to get into the details of obviously we're trying to keep it in a straight line, but just focusing on it will touch me. It's going to come after it crosses the knee. It's coming onto the thigh. It'll fix any little minor deviations I'm seeing right here. Yeah. Take your time in between reps to reset. So if I think this is the first one you posted. So once you set the bar down, roll it back to your shins, right? You're balanced. You got a little bit of weight on your heels. You're ready to pull. Okay. So you take care of all the fidgeting, all the rolling before you set your back, because that's the hard part. And that's the last thing you do before you pull. Okay. So a lot of guys will try and set their back right away and then do a bunch of fidgeting. That just wastes energy. So set the bar down, roll it back to your shins, get your balance right, a little bit more weight on the heels, make sure the hips are high. Now you're ready to pull. Okay. So the deadlift launch cadence or procedure is breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. So once you're ready, it's take a breath, squeeze your chest up, pause for just a second to make sure you're as tight as you can be, that your back is as arched and tight, locked as it can be, and that you didn't push the bar off your shins, right? Because when you set your back, you might nudge the bar a little bit. So breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. Don't forget that pause, okay? That pause is like the last thing that happens where you just check, there's no momentum, the bar's still touching you, and you are as tight as you can possibly be, and then you just pull it, okay? Breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. Don't forget that pause, okay? All right, now let's watch the side view here. Yeah, it's pretty good, man. Roll it back. Hips look good. Okay, so from this angle, which is more useful, what I want to work on is this little hump right here. Okay, that's a bad line, but this area. Okay, so that's your lumbar spine. That's the part we're trying to get arched and tight. So I want that part to look like this. Okay, that like U shape. It's not here, okay? The reason that we tell you to squeeze your chest up is because if I tell you to go like this and squeeze this chest up, it usually produces a wave of extension from the chest all the way down the back like this. okay, which is what we want. So if we just say, leave your hips right here, don't drop them, and just point your nipples up at the wall, we usually get this arch that we want. Sometimes we get guys like you who actually can just arch their thoracic spine and the lumbar spine stays round, okay? But I don't care about the thoracic spine, right? I don't care about your upper back. I care about this part. In fact, there are some really good powerlifters that intentionally round the thoracic spine while putting the lumbar spine extension. We can talk about that another time. But this is the part that has to get flat, okay? So when you think, and it's a tough one because you got to turn those muscles on. You got to find the connection between your brain and those muscles, okay? So it's like you're popping your hips, you're sticking your ass out, okay? Without dropping your butt. So in addition to thinking about squeezing the chest up, I also want you to think about pointing, so you're, what is that? God. The ischial tuberosity, okay? Basically your sit bones. If you reach under your butt and you feel where, your hamstring originates, you'll feel a little bone on each side, okay? So those are right here. It's the bottom of your pelvis, okay? You got one under each butt cheek. You want to think about, in addition, like I said, to pointing the chest up like that, you want to think about right now those little nubs are pointed down here, okay? And I want you to imagine trying to point them also up here, all right? Like that, so that this goes down like that, the pelvis tilts up, and you're basically, the crass way of putting this is like point your butthole at the ceiling, right? It's pointing down here, point it up here. How are you gonna do that? Well, you're gonna have to round that part, okay? You're gonna have to arch your low back. So that's kind of the missing piece here, is that you're doing a good job getting an arch here, but that one's not that important. We need to get this part more flat. And that again does not mean dropping your hips. Now, like I said earlier, if you push, the reason it's hard to do is because your hamstring, there's tension on your hamstrings here, right? So we're fighting for control of your pelvis, right? This area right here. Your back, like your hamstrings want to pull your pelvis down this way, under you, like tuck your butt underneath you, like butt wink is what they call it. What we're trying to do is get these spinal erectors here to pull your pelvis this way, right? That's the pointing it up at the wall part. So it's a war between the hamstrings and the lumbar and your spinal erectors, right? For control of that position. And the spinal erectors have to win that war, okay? But the reason that it's so hard is because your butt's high up and there's a lot of tension here. So there's a lot of pull this way from those hamstrings. Now, this is why people drop their butt when they try and set their back, because it slacks that tension and makes it easier to set your back, but that introduces a whole bunch that turns it into a squat. So we don't want to do that. Your hips are in the right place, bars over the middle of your foot. It's a matter of just making these spinal erectors win that battle for position, okay? Now, like I said earlier, if you bring your feet in a little bit closer and point your knee and push your knees out and get your thighs out of the way, you can sink down this segment right here, like you can kind of just drop it down a little bit, the whole thing, right? Don't change the angles like this. You can just kind of bury your belly between your thighs a little bit like that, okay? And that'll give you a little bit more room so there's a little bit more slack there on the hamstrings, and the spinal erectors with less pull from the hamstrings, it's easier for the spinal erectors to do their thing, okay? So that's another reason that we want that feet a little closer, knees pushed out. Okay, so let's finish up here and just see what we get. Yeah, and then again, you make sure that thing drags up your legs all the way. Okay. Let's go back. I want to see this again. So you're going to roll it back, take a breath, breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. Okay. So take your time, you know, mess around and then set and go. You've got the gist of it, man. These are not bad, especially if you've just started training. Yeah. All right, so work on that stuff, and when you think you got it, right? You think you've got that low back fixed and you've got the new stance and you want to post another video, whenever you think you're ready for another form check, throw it up and we'll take a look at your progress, man. But thank you. Let me make sure I answered all your questions. Yeah, you're not gonna hurt yourself doing this. By the way, I can't see your face, but you look pretty young, so you're bulletproof for another probably 10, 20 years at least. And your form is good. It is not anything that is like, this guy's gonna get hurt. We're just tweaking a few details here to make the lift more efficient, but you're doing a lot of things right. So great work. Keep going. Let's make it heavier. Let's make it cleaner. Let's make it tighter. And I'll look forward to checking back in with you, man. All right. Thanks for posting, and we'll see you soon. All right, Dick, the last guy. Here we go. So you said it was time to check my squat again. Light week. Okay. Well, we'll see how light week looks. First set of 5 at 160 kilos. 61 and a half. I don't want to rob you of your work. All right. My man Dick in the dungeon. What do we got? Okay. Great job setting the knees. Depth. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, these look good. I don't like that. I don't like that thing you're doing where that bar looks awfully low in your back too. Take this with a grain of salt because I'm looking at a camera angle from the ground, but that looks a little too low on your back. So here's the challenge for you, man. And I want you to focus on, first of all, good job. These are good squats. You've fixed a lot of the things that we've been working on and you've kept them fixed. So let's start there. But this little tick you have of, I'll show you at the end. So you're here, your back's kind of rounded up here. And then you're going to take your breath and you're going to the bar's going to roll back. And then as soon as you start the lift, you're going to dump it. So you're kind of extending your upper back or your thoracic spine, but you're not holding it. As soon as you start to lift, you round the upper back again and the bar starts to roll up. So watch, you're kind of soft and then you just immediately dump it again. And which I can understand the confusion with me hammering people about setting their upper back and stuff. So we'll dive into this a little bit. Yeah, there's no point in doing that if you're just going to let it go right away when you lean over to squat, right? It's I don't care if you set your thoracic spine. And then just that's nice and tight, right? And then boop, it's gone. So you're here, you're I did it, and now I'm just gonna go back to where I was. That's not the point. The point is that you hold that the entire time, okay? So this upper back rounding thing is kind of like your Everest here. Well, we have a couple things we had to work on, but so that's good if you can hold it, right? So here's what's been working, because I don't know, you probably don't watch all these episodes, but I was trying to think when I was squatting about 2 months ago. Like, I'm telling everybody, like, I noticed that I don't set my chest up between reps. And while I was squatting, and I was like, when am I doing that? Because I'm telling everybody to do it, and am I not doing it? And what I realized is, and I can't believe it took me this long to even think about it, but these episodes have taught me a lot, actually. Anyway, I realized that I set my back in extension before I take the bar out of the rack, and then I just hold it. I never let it go. So I don't have to reset it between reps unless like something goes wrong and I lose it. But if you get your upper back in, let's find the rep where it, like the position that kind of looks good, right? When you do that thing. Like that, okay? And again, this is a little dramatic, and I think it's because the bar's too low on your back. But you can see the you know, the arch here, right? Your shirt's all bunched up. You're puffing your chest up. Like, this is the idea. So do that before you take the weight out of the rack, right? Then you don't have anything on your back because the J-hooks are holding the load. So it's even easier to get the bar exactly where you want it and to get your chest up and arched and tight while you're unloaded. And then you just literally just stand up. You just lock your knees out and then you're ready to go, right? So you're under the bar, you know, messing around, and then you set it. Oh God, that hurts my back. Okay. You set it and then you just stand up, and then you never lose this. You never let this go. This never goes soft the entire set. That's the way to not have to eliminate more things that you're thinking about, right? And just focus on the lifting. So when you're doing this here, this is when you do it. This is when you get set. And you're kind of doing it, but see, by the time you walk it, like, it's already soft. It doesn't look like that, you know, where I paused before. Look at how round it is compared to where we were, like, down here, right? When you were arching. Oh, I almost got there. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So get under the rack, get your chest up and tight here, locked, and then just hold it. Just don't ever let it round. And then it will just, you don't have to fix anything because it's tight, right? So soft, and then you're going to try and arch it. But this is the thing. This position right here where you're soft with your, you know, your upper back a little bit rounded, this is what you think, what feels right to you. So yeah, there's a moment where you put it in extension, but then you just go right back to like home, which is rounded. I want this just default. You're standing there with a bar on your back. What's the default position? The default position is that little 1 second that you're doing in between reps. It's chest up. It's that. And anytime you're just standing there with the bar, that's what it looks like, rather than, okay, I lost that position and now I'm going to reset it. And then you're like, nah, let's let it go. Or, you know, I'm sure that's not the conversation you're having, but that's what's happening. So that's what we want to fix. Okay. Because as soon as that rounds, the rest, everything else that happens is going to stem from the bar rolling around. So you're going to dump it off your back one day too, with how dramatically you're doing that and then rounding. Okay. Also watch your knees, but again, these things are all related, where if you even subconsciously, if that bar is rolling around on your neck and it's not stable, it throws off your ability to focus on all the other stuff. So you might be like, okay, my cue for this rep is keep my knees out. And all of a sudden the bar starts to wiggle a little bit and you completely forget about the knees. They cave in. So let's work top down here. And it should start right before you unrack it. In fact, I will show you I just was talking to one of my online clients about this. And where's Josh, my man? I want the purple one. Bear with me. Oh, here we go. Okay. So we got my man Josh. Now, this is what I was telling my client the other day. So watch Josh. Watch him get under it. See, okay, look at that. See his back right there? He hasn't even taken the weight out of the rack yet. But look at the position of his upper back, right? Now he takes it out. Now watch how much it changes. It's exactly the same. He takes a breath. Now, just to be clear, all he did when he took that breath was fill his lungs up. He didn't change anything about the upper back tightness, right? So let's go back and watch this again. He gets in there, he's set that upper back, and it's gonna look identical the entire time he's holding that weight. It's, little breath, but look at it. It looks exactly the same as when he had it in the rack. So yeah, it's moving up and down because he's breathing, but the arch is there. If you just keep your eyes on that, the wrinkles between his shoulder blades, they never flatten out. Okay? So that's the idea. Get tight before you take the bar out of the rack and never let it go. Never let it go. And then once you drill that, you can focus all your attention on all the other stuff, and that bar's not going to move because you made that shelf and it's just going to stay there. Right? And so you can focus on knees, you can focus on leaning over, you can focus on just lifting the damn weight, but you don't have to worry about resetting the upper back. You just keep it tight the whole time. All right, that's the lesson for today. Keep it tight the whole time. All right. So good to see you. Work on that. It's a small detail, but it's really important for your squat efficiency and technique. So good to see you. Thanks for posting, and we made it. I like it. 3 is nice. 3 is like, was this like a 40 minutes? Okay, guys. Thank you so much. And keep an eye out for the fat loss, spring, summer fat loss challenge thing. And we'll do this probably not next week. I'm going out of town for my birthday, but if I'm back, we could do it. I'm not committing to that yet. So otherwise, have a great weekend. And as always, thanks for being a part of this thing. We'll talk. Clint and I will talk to you soon. All right. Save that one. Bye, guys.